Last week we're going to spend 3 weeks on the Prodigal Son because it's just so chock full of angles and interesting messages that are in here. And so last week, if you remember, we had a guest preacher. We had the younger son who was here. And I believe we have another guest preacher lined up for this morning. The elder son should be here. And I'm working on our guest for next week. We'll see who that ends up being. But this is a book called The Return of the Prodigal Son by Henry Nouwen. And this is a little bit of what he has to say about the elder son. The younger son sinned in a way we could easily identify. His lostness is quite obvious. He misused his money, his time, his friends, his own body. There's something very clear-cut about his misbehavior. The lostness of the elder son, however, is much harder to identify. After all, he did all the right things. He was obedient, dutiful, law-abiding, and hard-working. People respected him, admired him, praised him, and likely considered him a model son. Outwardly, the elder son was faultless, but when confronted by his father's joy at the return of his younger brother, a dark power erupts in him and boils to the surface. Suddenly, there becomes glaringly visible a resentful, proud, unkind, selfish person, one that had remained deeply hidden.
He added, a man had 2 sons. The younger of them said to their father, "Give me the share of the estate that is coming to me." So the father divided up the property between them. Some days later, the younger son gathered up his belongings and went off to a distant land. Here he squandered all of his money on loose living. After everything was spent, a great famine broke out in the land, and the son was in great need. So he went to the landowner, who sent him to a farm to take care of the pigs. The son was so hungry that he could have eaten the husks that were fodder for the pigs, but no one made a move to give him anything. Coming to his senses at last, he said, "How many hired hands at my father's house have more than enough to eat while I am here starving? I'll quit and go back home and say, I've sinned against God and against you. I no longer deserve to be called one of your children. Treat me like one of your hired hands." With that, the younger son set off for home. While still a long way off, the father caught sight of the returning child and was deeply moved. The father ran out to meet him, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, "I've sinned against God and against you. I no longer deserve to be called one of your children." But his father said to one of the workers, "Quick, bring out the finest robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and shoes on his feet. Take the calf that we've been fattening and butcher it. Let's eat and celebrate. The son of mine was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and now he's found." And the celebration began. Meanwhile, the elder son had been out in the field. As he neared the house, he heard the sound of music and dancing. He called one of the workers and asked what was happening. The worker said, "Your brother is home, and the fatted calf has been killed because your father has him back safe and sound." The son got angry at this and refused to go into the party. But his father came out and pleaded with him. The older son replied, "Look, for years now I've done every single thing you asked me to do. I never disobeyed even one of your orders, yet you never gave me so much as a kid goat to celebrate with my friends. But then this son of yours comes home after going through your money with prostitutes, and you kill the fatted calf for him." "But my child," the father said, "you're with me always and everything I have is yours. But we have to celebrate and rejoice. This brother of yours was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and now he's found."
No! You can tell Papa I am not going back into the party. Tell him again I am not going back into the party. I'm going to stay out here with all of my true friends who have not betrayed me by going running back to my wayward, no good younger brother. So thank you all. Seriously, I must be doing something wrong. Benjamin leaves for 2 years. He takes all of his inheritance. He could have spent that on fine living anywhere. He could have had a wonderful life. But what does he do? Look at him. Have you seen him? He's clearly lost every single penny. There are people lurking around. If you're spying, you can go back to Papa and tell him I'm not coming back in. Yeah, I don't think you are. He lost everything. He came back in rags. And you know what I bet he was doing? I bet he lost it all, gambling and drinking and on prostitutes. What else could it be? And then he comes crawling back, wanting to be welcomed home by our Father. And he is. Papa just welcomes him back. He just throws his arms around him and kisses him and throws him a party. Shouldn't Benjamin be held accountable for his actions, for losing his whole inheritance? Papa's just a little bit too naive for me, a little bit too forgiving, a little bit too forgetting. Why isn't he ashamed? I'm ashamed of Benjamin and what he did. I don't even want to call him my brother anymore. Yeah, I know. It was different when we were younger. It was fun when we were younger. Gosh, we had a blast. He was the best younger brother. There was just something special about Benjamin. You know, he was everybody's favorite. I loved him. He was, yeah, and you know he was Papa's favorite. And I should have been upset about that when we were kids, but I couldn't be upset about it because he was my favorite too. He was just one of those people everybody gravitated to. You know, and I loved him fiercely. He may have looked up to me, but I loved him with a fierceness that almost scares me as I look back. You know, he was cute and he was funny, but he had a charisma about him, just an aliveness about him, even as a little kid. And he was a little imp and a little instigator, too. Do y'all remember old Obed? Do you remember old Obed? He was the crankiest, meanest hired hand Papa ever had. And we used to do our best to make him even crankier and even meaner. You know, he'd be out working in the fields, and Ben and I would sneak around and we'd just move his tools. Just a little bit. Without him seeing us, so that, you know, he'd start to think maybe he lost his memory and didn't know where he put things. We did that a lot, trying to drive him crazy. And then there was the time we found the dead mouse in the field, and we snuck in at night and we put it in his shoe. And then there was the time we found this ratty old cat. Mangy thing, hair falling out all over, fleas, ticks all over it. And we took it in and we put it in his bed. And you know, the thing is, we always got caught. And I was the one who got in trouble because, you know, I was older, I was supposed to know better. But they were all Ben's ideas. 3 years younger than me, and they were all Ben's ideas. We were inseparable for a lot of years. But I think I was always a little more serious than Ben was. You know, and then it all changed. And I think it was when I turned 13 and I had my bar mitzvah. You guys all remember your bar mitzvah. It's this transformative time where all of a sudden you're no longer a boy, but you're a man. And that hit me really hard. Now I'm a man. I have to be responsible, and I have to be obedient, and I have to be dutiful, and I have to take seriously my job in life, my role on the farm, and especially as the eldest son. And so right after I was bar mitzvah, Papa started teaching me more about how to run a farm and how to be in charge. And I took that really seriously. I wanted to make him proud. I wanted to do everything right. I wanted to be the best farmer, the best son I could possibly be, and maybe he'd appreciate me. I'd never been the favorite, but maybe he could appreciate me, and I could earn my place in his love, in his heart. And, you know, over the years, I took on more and more responsibility. And Ben was always there. And don't get me wrong, you know, Ben worked hard. If nothing else, he was a hard worker. But you could tell his heart wasn't in it. Everybody knew he didn't really want to be there. And as time went on, you know, when he was young, he was cute and he was fun, and it was okay that he was a little imp. But as he got older, he just got to be arrogant and cocky, like he knew everything. Like his ideas were the best. Like the farm was settling somehow. Like it wasn't good enough for Ben. He always gave me the feeling that, you know, he was looking down on the rest of us for being so serious about farming and wanting to do it the best we could do it. And so, yeah, he did his work, but everybody knew he could care less about this farm and about what it stood for and the kind of work we did. I think he resented, part of it was I think he resented his role. That he wasn't the elder son. And you know, I get it. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that I get a double share of the inheritance. I don't necessarily agree that I have the brunt of the responsibility and the brunt of the authority. I'd be happy to share it all with him. But that's not the way it is. And so I have to follow the rules, and I have to follow the laws. And I'm sorry that that upset him. But it is what it is. You know, and he was so contradictory, and he was always criticizing and creating conflict. And we got in argument after argument after argument about this farm, and I can't tell you how many times I just looked at him and I went, just go do your work. You do what you gotta do, and stop arguing with me. And he was no better with Papa. In fact, I'm not sure he wasn't worse with Papa. It was always, oh, there's better farm equipment out there. We're living in the dark ages here. We should be getting this newfangled equipment to help us out. And he'd tell Papa that, you know, what he was doing just, it wasn't up to snuff. It wasn't what the Joneses down the street were doing. And it wasn't, then there were the conversations where Papa should be investing his money better. There are better ways he could earn money than this lousy old farm. And why wasn't he just putting all of his money into something else? He was just impossible. Just impossible. Always thought he knew best. You know, Ben's always been the guy with his head in the clouds who scoffed at everybody who had their feet on the ground and had different ideas. So was I surprised when he left? No, absolutely not. It was coming. Sooner or later, he was going to take off. I was surprised at how it happened, though. You know, we're having one of our traditional arguments about what he's supposed to be doing and who's really in charge. And we're yelling at each other, and finally he just stopped, he looked at me, and he turned and he walked off. And I knew he was going to see Papa, and I thought, oh, this is not going to be good. And so I followed, because I didn't want him to get Papa all upset again. And by the time I got there, Ben is finishing saying something to the effect that, well, it appears that you've already given Gideon his share of the inheritance. He's already running the farm. He's already taken all of the authority. He tells me what to do all the time. So why don't you just give me my inheritance now, too? I was shocked. I didn't even know what to say. I mean, that's tantamount to saying, I don't care about you and Mama anymore. It's tantamount to saying, you two may as well be dead, and I want what's mine now. Not caring about Mama and Papa. Maybe they needed that money to live. And Papa tried to reason with him and tried to be calm about it and calm him down. But Ben just demanded his inheritance. And so I jumped in and I was ready for an all-out fight. But Papa stepped between us and he just said, no, it's okay. And he gave him the money. I couldn't believe it. And no sooner did Ben have it than he was out of here. He was gone with barely a goodbye, no looking back, didn't care about how that was going to affect any of us. You know, I had to watch Papa be sad and depressed for a long time. I would catch him standing outside the house, just looking down the road, waiting, hoping that he'd come back. And Mama cried and intermixed with yelling at Papa for letting him go in the first place. And me, well, I had one less hand on the farm, so there was more work to do. But really, I was kind of like, good riddance, and don't let the fence hit you on the way out. I had no more attitude, no more arguments, no more behavior issues, no more challenging my authority. Thank God. And now he's back. This difficult, disrespectful brother of mine is back. And Papa welcomes him back and kills the fatted calf and throws a party. Seriously? I have been here the whole time, working hard, taking care of Mama and Papa, taking care of the farm, going to temple, following all the laws. And do I ever get a thank you for it? Do I ever get any appreciation for it? Does Papa ever say, here, have a kid goat and go and have a celebration with you all? No, not once. You know, Papa came out a little earlier to try and get me to go into the party. And he said, Gideon, you have always been with me, and everything that I have is yours. But your younger brother is back, and we have to rejoice and celebrate because we thought he was dead, and now he's alive. He was lost, and he is found, and I'm thinking to myself, let him stay dead and lost. Don't need him. Now the favorite son is back, gets all the attention again. And what am I? And I know that perhaps sounds petty and jealous and self-righteous. I don't even like the way I sound. Want another beer? It's possible that I'm a little loose-lipped because of the beer. But if I'm perfectly honest with myself and with you, I'm probably more hurt than I am angry. I mean, I loved him more than anything. And he just left like I didn't matter. Like he didn't care about me at all. Us at all. Papa wants me to forgive. And I don't know if I can. Papa wants me to listen to him and try and understand that he's changed. Well, you know what? I don't really want to listen to him. And I'm not sure I can trust that he's changed. What happens tomorrow when the party's over and we have to go back to work? What happens then? We can't go back. But how do we go forward? I love my father. And truth be told, I still love my little brother. I just don't know what to do. So, my friends, I am asking for your wisdom. What should I do? Do I go back into the party? Do I turn my back and walk away? Well, I can see you're going to be really helpful. Go back to the party. Give it some time. How many people for going back to the party? How many people for just turning away and not going in? All right, I'm going to get another beer. And then I'm going back to the party. Pray for me.